Okay, let's pray. Okay, Lord, thank you for this wonderful day, Lord, and I hope, Lord, give the will you will guide us, Lord, from today broadcast and give us a right knowledge and a right spirit to listen and give us the most ability to to understand your word, Lord, through our speaker today, Brother Francis, and give him a knowledge and understanding and wisdom, Lord, to preach the word, Lord. And that's all, Lord. We pray this in your in the name of your Son Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that prayer. And we are going through the series of Revelation chapter 13. Open up your Bibles with me. By the way, this is an open forum. Since this is no open forum, we invite all of you to freely interact with us. You may freely interrupt us anytime with your questions or comments live. And I request some brethren to copy the link of this forum and comment it in this in Facebook cogeo ENDTIME series for the duration of this broadcast. For the duration of this broadcast. So, Aber Enoch, please close your share screen. So, okay, you're gonna show the scriptures, and but after the broadcast, please remove the comment because it's no longer live. Just indicate first if you wish to ask questions live on the forum. Just click this link. So I have to remove that comment after the broadcast. So request some brethren to do that. Okay, let's begin from verse 1. And Barmenan, thank you for that good picture, okay? And I stood upon the sand of the sea, although the picture shows him where he was sitting. And that was John in the Isle of Patmos. And saw a beast rise out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. So you have to show the beast rising up out of the sea, Barmenan. So the beast rising up out of the sea. Are you using a cell phone or computer? If it's computer, you have to maximize that. So please maximize the problem with if there is no even if it's computer, if someone is sharing the screen with us with you, it is not maximized the top part and the bottom part. So maybe Bear Enoch, you can please close your share screen so Barmenan can maximize his screen. So Bar Enoch, could you close your share screen so Barmenan can maximize his screen? Thank you. So maximize the screen, Barmenan, and show the beast rising up out of the sea. Now, what kind of beast? You didn't prepare. You should have. So the beast that rose up out of the sea, it's not a scarlet-colored beast. So Bar David said there he cannot hear anything. Please, I request someone else to listen in series if the sound what disappeared. So okay, we are showing. Okay, thank you for the illustration, brother. So
We have
that
sound
is
in the series.
you may maximize that also. Zoom that. Maybe zoom that so it could be shown. So let's talk about this beast. You notice something. It's described in verse 2. Okay. Notice the beast is a conglomeration of different beasts. You see the head of the lion, the paw of the bear, the leopard. So it says 10 horns. It has 10 horns, and in his 10 horns there are 10 crowns upon his heads. This is very similar to the red scarlet colored beast in Revelation 17. Could you quickly show that scarlet colored beast with a woman riding upon that beast? I saw that a while ago. So I hope you can quickly switch pictures. The scarlet colored beast, the red colored beast, crimson colored beast, is described in Revelation chapter 17. Okay, let's compare them for comparisons. So you should be ready with that. Okay, thank you. You see that? This beast, did it say 10 crowns in chapter 17? If not, it flashes back, it brings you back in the time of the Dark Ages. The time of the Dark Ages. Now, who's this beast during the Dark Ages? During the Dark Ages, this 10-horned beast, is the European, not yet the Union, but under the Roman Empire. But when the Roman Empire fell, it was controlled by a woman. It was controlled by a state church. So after the fall of the Roman Empire, the spirit that took over is not a political leadership, but a church. A woman is being represented by the church. But this woman is described as the great whore, or mother of harlots. So this is a religion that controlled Europe during that time. But please go back to the other beast, Birmingham. Let's go back to the Revelation 13 beast. I hope you can easily
But
switch.
I have a question.
Okay, continue going back to that picture, Birmingham. There's it in the upper right. Okay, maximize that. Okay, question, brother Enoch. Question.
Okay, why did that? Okay, my question is, why did that beast become red? Because if we read in Revelation chapter 13 verse 1, it's not red.
Good question. Thank you for that question. And without that question, I might not have thought of this. The other beast is red because it murdered millions during the Dark Ages. It murdered through wars, through inquisitions, counter-reformation. It spanned almost 1,000 years. When it became a leader, it used the political beast, to persecute the people of God because of heresy, what they call heresy. Some might be genuine heresy, some might not be. But whichever it is, it became scarlet, crimson, red-colored by blood. As we can read in Revelation 17, the woman became drunk with the blood of the saints of the martyrs, or witnesses of Jesus. So, among its victims are not really heretics, but genuine believers. So, remember, before the onset of these Dark Ages, maybe you can show the crimson color beast if you're going to share screen. But the sacrifice is the upper part and the lower part is wasted. No, Bar Enoch, I'm referring to Bar Enoch. Anyway, so if he doesn't have, okay, the other one. So the reason they're red, they were able to martyr the saints of Jesus, persecute, murder for almost 1,000 years. But this end time beast, The end time beast you can see in on the left corner. This is an end time kind of beast. Of course, it's still going to flash us back in time, in the past, how it began. That's where we're going to go after this. So, but you might ask, the modern beast in the tribulation could murder more people than the Dark Ages beast. Why isn't the modern beast scarlet colored? Because of intervention. In the end time, in the tribulation period, it was said that unless those days were shortened, no flesh shall be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So even though they can kill with modern technology many times over, they will be prevented to do that. And especially this beast represents something in the earth. Satan has changed tactics from murdering the red horse rider to becoming political. That's the pale horse rider. The pale horse rider represents something that we're going to tackle a little later in the following verses. It's a political system, a cultural religious system that political, military, economic, religious, that has changed in this world. The whole world, it seems like, to be taken over by the devil, by the Antichrist, without them knowing it, without us realizing it. So aside from talking about a singular leader that will take over the world, we're not going to focus on that here in this expository chapter 13, expository apologetics on chapter 13. We're going to focus on the political system that pervades the world, that has influenced the world. Okay, please close your share screen and go back to the... please look for... let's put one singular share screen. Let's go back to the time of Daniel. Daniel chapter 7, verse 1. We're not going to read the verse. I'm just going to describe. Let's read verse 2 first in Revelation 13. In verse 1, he said there, I stood upon the sand of the sea. So we're going to show some sea. What sea is he referring to? Now, before we go to the first beast that came out, let's talk about the sea, the sand of the sea. So please close your share screen, Brother Enoch. We still need to adjust the glitch of the top and bottom wasted part. So please close your share screen. It was David. This is David. Brother David, please close your share screen. Okay, so that's the Mediterranean Sea. That's the coast where John saw the Great Sea. But let's show the map. Let's go to the map. This is the Mediterranean Sea. This is what John saw. That what John was referring to. I saw a beast rise up out of the Great Sea. So he didn't mention the Great Sea. It was Daniel who will mention the Great Sea. The Great Sea is in Daniel 7:1. In the nighttime visions I saw 4 winds striving upon the Great Sea. The Great Sea Daniel was referring to is this Mediterranean Sea. The Mediterranean Sea represents the Mediterranean world. The Mediterranean world represents the old world. Okay, thank you. Now, 4 beasts came out of this great sea. What are the 4 beasts that came out of this great sea? That's in Daniel 7. We're just going to summarize that. So we have some context when you understand verse 1. Okay, we need to show the 4 beasts that came out of the great sea, starting from the lion. The first beast that came out was lion. Okay, that was the first beast that came out. It represented the Babylonian Empire. Then next came out the bear. The bear. Brother Simon, please close your share screen. Brother Simon, we must have some coordination. Close your share screen so that we can maximize the screen. Brother Simon. Okay, thank you. So this is the second beast that came out of the Great Sea. This is from the Daniel chapter 7. And in the statue, it represents the silver breast of the statue or the of Daniel. Daniel's actually the dream of Nebuchadnezzar explained by Daniel. So let's move on to the third beast that came out of the sea. The three ribs you see in the mouth of the bear are three areas conquered by the Achaemenid Empire. We know it today as the Medo-Persian Empire. Let's move on to the third beast that came out of the sea. Thank you for maximizing it. The third beast is the leopard, four-headed leopard, four wings. What does it represent? Well, there's another discussion for that. The four generals of Alexander the Great. This is the Greco-Macedonian Empire. And if you look at the right side, that's the torso. The torso of the lower part of the body of the torso of the statue. Okay, so let's move on to the fourth beast, the dreadful, terrible beast that looks like a dinosaur. Okay, so this is the fourth beast, and it represented the feet of the statue. It was made of iron. So that represented the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire. So let's share something about these separate. Imagine what John saw was a conglomeration, a combination, a unification of all these beasts. That means the latter kingdom or the latter government, the latter empire that will come out. Actually, it will not just be Europe. That will be my new understanding, and it will be obvious. We have proof for that. It will not just be European Union anymore. But this beast you see here is just the Roman Empire. He will inherit all the previous beasts before him. And Barmenan, please prepare to show the extent of their empire in the map. Okay, please share the map. Let's start with Babylonian Empire. You notice the Babylonian Empire, he touches the Mediterranean Sea, the Babylonian Empire, okay? But he did not surround the Mediterranean Sea. That's the Babylonian Empire. You see, that looks like a very big empire. It might even be bigger than the Roman Empire, okay? So, for the moment, just close your screen, Brother David, because we have some problem with Telegram. If you share another screen, they they lose the upper part and lower part spaces. So later, for emergency, where just ready yourself or invite others. This is the Babylonian Empire. If you have any questions, just interrupt me, okay? Let's move on to, remember, he did not surround the Mediterranean Sea. He just touched a certain part of the Mediterranean Sea. I'm going to emphasize something later about that. Let's move on to the Medo-Persian Empire. The Medo-Persian Empire, this is also big, you see? It also covered, it covered a bigger area than the Babylonian Empire. It almost reached India, okay? Afghanistan and many others. It also covered part of Greece. Turkey, Egypt. So this Medo-Persian Empire coverage, extent of its boundaries is bigger. This actually is bigger than the Roman Empire. Later, we're going to see what the Roman Empire is. Before, I have a misconception that the Roman Empire should be biggest because it's the terrible, dreadful beast. But I was mistaken. It's not the area to be covered, but the political power you'll have just by surrounding the Mediterranean Sea. Let's move on to the next, the Greco-Macedonian Empire of Alexander the Great. Okay, see, that's even bigger. That's even bigger. He covered part of Europe, part Egypt, Africa, but he also went eastward up to India, parts of India. So he extended the previous empire of. Now we move. Okay, so just let's look at the left part of Alexander the Great's empire, Greek Empire. He did not surround the Mediterranean Sea. He didn't even cover Italy. Rome was just budding then. Rome had their wars with Carthage. But Alexander the Great did not cover the whole Mediterranean Sea. You don't need whole territories to have a bigger power. The Roman Empire is described as the dreadful, terrible beast, but it covered the Mediterranean Sea. So let's move on to the Roman Empire, the map of the Roman Empire. So I've never shared this before. So this is the first time I'm going to share this in English. I have a Tagalog version in cogeo Seri and Kawakasan, if you wish to download an audio version of this. So here is the first time for me to share in English. Look at the Roman Empire. It's not as big in land coverage as the other previous empires. But why is it called the dreadful, terrible beast? Eventually, she will conquer Europe, Britain. And the important thing is, she surrounded the Mediterranean Sea, the Great Sea. And did you know that if you surround this body of water, you will have political power? Why? Because waterways are used as trade routes, as like cranes or airplanes. The shipping industry gives you great power. Carthage, Phoenicia, just because Tarsus and what's Tyre, the Isle of Tyre, they have become powerful and rich just because of trade. Now, the Roman Empire took over that, but the Roman Empire also took over the lands, not lands, the empire of the previous empires, not the whole extent of the land, but their culture, their whole culture. So the Roman Empire adopted Greek because the whole empire knew Greek. It was not yet Latin until the whole Roman Empire. So the Roman Empire gained benefit from the culture, from the previous empires, their machines, their technologies, their knowledge, their histories. So the final empire will be what you see in Revelation 13. Let's go back to Revelation 13. Let's please share the screen of the Revelation 13 beast that came out of the sea. So that's why John saw this beast coming out of the great sea. That's why Daniel said these four beasts came out of the great sea, because the four beasts will become one in Revelation 13. So the dreadful, terrible beast that Daniel described is still the Roman Empire. But Daniel did not describe the scarlet colored beast. So this is the beast described by Daniel. But it's not colored red. This is just the Roman Empire, not yet the Holy Roman Empire, where the woman sitting upon the red colored beast. It's not yet red because it's still the political Roman Empire, not the religious Holy Roman Empire. And we're talking, oh, this is the red. But right now, in Revelation chapter 13, we're describing the uh, the end time beast. And this will be noteworthy. That's the beast. That's the beast. Please full screen that. Okay. That's the beast that will come out that in the time of, in the end times, as John described in Revelation chapter 13. The context, now, we have to go back in the past, as we've shown in other pictures, that this beast is a combination of all the other beasts. Let's read that in verse 2. So open your, don't share screen the Bible so we don't lose the spaces here. Just open your Bibles at home. I'm going to read from verse 2. And the beast which I saw was like unto leopard, and his feet as the feet of the bear, his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat and great authority. So, you see here in verse 2 that it is a conglomeration of all the other beasts. You see, that's another illustration of the great dragon. Okay, thank you for voluntarily sharing the picture. What is this dragon? The dragon described in Revelation chapter 12. We have an audio, no, we have a video of Revelation chapter 12. You can check that out in Cogeo ENDTIME Series group of Facebook. But the dragon, of course, represents the devil, Satan. Now, that means say Satan is giving authority. The authority is not just giving in the four world empires or the union. If it's the union, you can imagine it represents the whole world. Later, we're going to emphasize that. The whole world is being controlled by the enemy. Of course, by permission from God, the enemy could not do what he wants to do until the end time. So, the whole world system, that's what we're going to emphasize here in Revelation chapter 13. You see, there are people there, right? So, let's read verse 3. Okay, the wound of the head. So there we have several pictures for that. This beast was wounded in the head. And I saw one of the head of his heads as it were wounded to death. And his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. One of the head of the beast was wounded. Now, which head would that be? It would be the dreadful, terrible beast. Because that is the he will inherit all the other previous beasts before him, previous empires before him. Babylonian, Medo-Persian, that's your illustration of the wounding. Looks like the lion, right? But the Babylonian, the Medo-Persian, the Grecian, they were all wounded and they were dead. They all died and they were assimilated by the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire fits the description of being wounded unto death, but still lived. So this is a good illustration, but shows the lion. The lion, which represents Babylon, will never rise up, but there's a new Babylon. There's a new Babylon. So all the descriptions, all the previous empires will be carried by the Roman Empire. Now, the Roman Empire, as it will be wounded, so we don't have an illustration that the dinosaur-looking beast is wounded. Okay. Politically, she was wounded. The Roman Empire. Politically. And did you get a picture from Brother Jackson's contender about the beast? Okay. So this beast, what you see, is a resurrected form of the Roman Empire. But the Roman Empire will not just be Europe anymore. So previously, that's how I understood it. But today, it becomes more clear to me. I had a scant idea before, but the present beast is no longer is not just covering the Roman Empire. It will cover 10 geopolitical regions of the earth. It will be the whole world. The spirit of the Roman Empire will be the whole world. That includes even Asia and Europe and America. The image of the beast and the beast.
For I have a
Question,
question.
question. Yes, question. Hello, Bar Enoch. Do you have any question? Okay. So you lost your sound.
Do you hear me, bro?
I can.
Okay.
Okay, continue speaking.
Okay. Okay. You're talking about the Great Sea, right? Are you talking about the sea uh that surround the seven continents, or just a specific sea?
The
The beast that
Mediterranean Sea.
will be coming out.
Mediterranean Sea. So I've explained it just a while ago. When you read the Great Sea in Daniel 7:1 and the sea that John saw in Revelation 13:1, where the beast came out, but the beast came out. It's the Mediterranean Sea, the Mediterranean world, the old world. But later, this beast will represent the whole world. Coming from the sea, another beast will arise up from the earth, speaking like a dragon. Remember the dragon controlling, dragon giving power to the first beast. Now, the other continent, which is called the earth, will be like a lamb speaking like a dragon. The lamb speaking like a dragon will be the Masonic United States or America. He will give power to the first beast. Okay, so that's
Brother,
getting
I have
ahead of.
another
Okay, another question.
question.
Please share screen that
Okay.
covers
When we're
everything.
talking about okay,
Continue,
when
continue.
we're talking about the sea or Great Sea, what the Great Sea is representing? Is it a power? Is it political? Is it what kind of sea is
Everything,
this?
everything.
Because this beast will be the beast. Okay, so what about the beast that will be coming out? Is it a power?
Not just the power, it will be the
What kind of power
political
is this?
system. It will be the governmental system. It will be a political system.
There will be so there will be a union between the political and also it is a union of power
Of the
of the
whole
world.
world. Yes, the whole world. This is something new for me. Before, under Jackson and Brother Jackson, Brother Gan, and I looked at the beast as the Europe only, European. And Herbert W. Armstrong, he was the one that made this picture. Um, he referred to this beast as the resurrected European Empire. And that was the understanding, maybe, of most of the end time message. I learned from Brother Jackson, Brother Gan, that this is just Europe. But today, I'm going to share here in English broadcast. It does not just represent Europe, it represents the whole world. That's why this is different. This is a spirit that spreads out over all the world. And the dragon that gave it power, the United States, it influenced the whole world. It did not just influence Europe. It did not just revive the political system in Europe, what we call the Marshall Plan. The United States gave power, speaking as a dragon, gave power not just Europe, but the whole world. There's a spirit in the whole world where hegemony, the harmony of the whole world, it is a worldly system. This worldly system, we have a picture of the United States. This worldly system influenced all the peoples of the world. So why did the United States become a superpower? So we're getting ahead of ourselves. This is the lamb beast that speaks like a dragon. But I like other illustrations. Maybe the previous thumbnail of the old broadcast. I have another broadcast, Revelation 13, but it was cut short, just 1 hour. And I was not able to go expositorily all throughout the verses. Today, hopefully, we finish all those verses. But these beasts you see here, the bison or the American buffalo, um, some other denominations understood this. Seventh-day Adventists, maybe some Baptists or what. They understood that this is the lamb beast that came out from the earth. What is the earth? It's another continent aside from the Great Sea, the Mediterranean Old World, Europe, Africa, Asia. There's another continent which they have not yet discovered in the time of John, but the Bible described it as the earth, the beast that came out of the earth. So, okay, I got ahead of myself, but it's all right. I hope you can follow through. That means to say, Seventh-day Adventist is just one of the denominations passed through by this restoration message, progressive message. So if ever there are Protestant churches that this explains this the same way, they're not very well known. Okay, so only the Seventh-day Adventists are well known in emphasizing this. So there was a time they're being used by God. Okay, let's go back to our exposition on Revelation chapter 13. We just read verse 2 and we just read verse 3. What is the wounding of the head? In verse 3, he was wounded unto death but lived. One of its head. One of its head is the Roman Empire. But the Roman Empire represents other things. And one of the other things that the wounded head represents, it's parallel organization, like the Holy Roman Empire. So you know the woman with the scarlet-colored beast. Could you show that the woman with the scarlet-colored beast? That represent the Holy Roman Empire. It will be wounded also. So the fall of the Roman Empire, that's why it was taken over by a woman, led by the woman. This is the time when the Roman Empire, the political Roman Empire, disappeared. It became Christian actually, and it was divided between the East and the West. The West fell, and only the East remained, and eventually the East fell to the Muslims. And what remained in barbaric Europe is the woman. That's the Holy Roman Empire. There was a time the power of the papacy held sway over Europe. There was a time the power of the papacy held sway over much of the kings of Europe. That's why there are no crowns yet in Revelation 17. But in Revelation 13, they have crowns in each horns because they will become independent. The woman is not there anymore. So the woman represents the religious side that controlled Europe then. And can you apply the wounded head to the woman? Yes, because the power of the papacy, I didn't ask for this picture, but I can mention this. Remember the time when the age of exploration, the 1400s, when Spain and Portugal were the superpowers then. That was in the 14th century. Spain and Portugal divided the world between them. And who mediated between them? So if you're going to search for this picture, the Treaty of Tordesillas and the treaty of another treaty, wherein they subdivided the whole world between them, Spain and Portugal. England, Britain was not yet a superpower then. It was just Spain and Portugal. Portugal colonized Brazil. Spain almost colonized the whole world until the British Empire took over from them. But after the British Empire, after World War II, it will be the United States that will take over from them. So from, you see the papacy arbitrating between Spain and Portugal. The papacy lost its power. Actually, the papacy then persecuted Galileo and Copernicus and another one, I forget the name, but Ambroglio, like that. That Bruno, I forgot the whole name. They persecuted lots of scientists for saying the world is round. So the papacy, if he will be followed, they should not sail beyond beyond Europe, because they will fall off the edge of the earth. They were flat earthers before. They were flat earthers. So, but they lost its power because the nations of Europe, starting from Spain and Portugal, they started colonizing other countries. They started the age of exploration. So the papacy waned in its power. During the Dark Ages, the papacy was able. Oh, I forgot to ask for this picture. If the plucked 3 horns out of the 10 horns. There's a little horn that's in Daniel 7 that plucked out 3 horns out of the 10 horns. There are 3 countries whose kings were leveraged by the papacy. Let's say they did something immoral, they disobeyed the Pope. Their followers would not be given communion anymore. So the king would be forced into repentance. So the little horn plucked out 3 horns. If you can't find, if you can't Google in time, maybe you can Google it later. The little horn plucking out 3 horns. Brother Jackson has a copy of that. Maybe he copied it from the Seventh-day Adventists. So I forgot to ask for that picture. So that's why the papacy has power. But when the papacy is arbitrating between Spain and Portugal, you can see the papacy has lost its power. There was a time Spain wanted to invade England. Can you show a picture of Europe? Or the Spanish Armada was the superpower of their time, but they lost. Spain was Catholic, England was Protestant, and Spain wanted to make England Catholic, but she failed. So the power of the papacy waned. Can you show Martin Luther? This is spiritual. Martin Luther with the sword of the Spirit. Is that your picture? Okay. You don't have any illustration of Martin Luther. Okay, that's it. When he nailed the 95 Theses in the church door at Wittenberg church, it started a movement. It started a stir. Martin Luther was not aspiring to separate from the Catholic Church. He was aspiring to reform the Catholic Church. But the Catholic Church did not want to be reformed, to be controlled, or to follow. They're not Berean, okay? They don't want to check the Bible if what he was saying was true, what he was complaining about. So, the Catholic Church almost fell because there was a war that came over. Many German states went over to Luther. Almost half of the Holy Roman Empire went over to Luther. And they sided with Luther. They protected Luther and his message. And it gave freedom to other denominations. They're not yet denominations. They're freedom fighters from different countries. They later became different denominations. These different denominations from Switzerland, from France, Germany, Bavaria, and many other countries, they all sprang up at the same time, and they formed a Protestant movement. This Protestant movement almost destroyed the Catholic Church, but she survived. It wounded her head with the sword of the Spirit. It's not a literal sword, but it's the sword of the Spirit. So, this is a parallel event. This is a parallel event of what we read in verse 3. Remember, verse 3, its ultimate Its original application is political, but there's a religious parallel with it. Let's go to Napoleon Bonaparte imprisoning. Mostly Seventh-day Adventists have a picture of this. Napoleon Bonaparte imprisoned the Pope. That's Napoleon Bonaparte. There was a time he imprisoned the Pope. He installed his own Pope. The papacy could not could not held sway. When the Pope was about to crown him, he took over. He took the crown and put it upon himself, showing to the world that it's not because of the papacy I become emperor, Napoleon. Okay, so there was a time there were two popes, one in France, one in Italy. There were two claimants to the papacy. That destroys the image of the papacy. If you read the Catholic Encyclopedia, there were abuses in the Vatican. Why am I saying this? The abuses, they become the the Vatican has become a brothel. The Pope had fornications, adulteries, many bastard children being placed in position. That was in the Dark Ages. So there was a time that the papacy, its image was tainted. Now, during the time of Pope John Paul, this is the Pope John Paul. Pope John Paul, when he became Pope, he restored the image of the papacy. Because the whole world, he's the well-traveled Pope. Previous popes are just in Europe. But he's the first Pope to travel widely around the globe, restoring the wounded head, healing the wounded head, the image of the Catholic Church. This Pope also is honest enough to admit the errors, the horrors that she committed, to the disdain of other Catholics, conservatives. He admitted, he asked forgiveness. So this Pope was restoring the image, but the picture you see, he was assassinated, but he lived. So this is one example of the wounded head that has lived. Now he represented the restoration of Europe and the whole world. Did you know that the spirit, the message of the Pope is different from the Dark Ages? The Seventh-day Adventists or some Baptists still believe, some Protestants still believe one day in the tribulation period, she will get back to her old ways in the Dark Ages and persecute those who do not believe the Sabbath or the Godhead. In the end time message, those who do not believe the biblical Godhead, those who do not believe, those who do not believe the Trinitarian Godhead. So that's what they call the mark of the beast, these false teachings. The wrong Sabbath or the wrong understanding of the Godhead and many others. But remember, the present-day Catholic Church is different from the Catholic Church of the Dark Ages. That's why she's no longer a woman riding upon the beast. The beast is independent. She's not directly controlled except 1 hour with the beast. So it's mentioned in Revelation 17. At the end time, she will be given a short time of power. That's in the tribulation period when she makes a covenant. The people of the prince shall make a covenant with us, with many nations, with many, for 1 week. In the midst of the week, he will cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. So for a short time, he will hold power. But in the middle of the week, he's going to lose that power. So here, he was assassinated, but he lived. Okay, and he forgave his assassin. So it brought respect, adoration, even from the Muslims. The end time Catholic Church, and this Catholic Church is promoting another system. of the beast, the image of the beast, and it's in with the help of the another beast that came out from the earth. The system he's promoting is no longer this kind of persecution of the Dark Ages. It is religious tolerance. Do you have a picture, Bermenan, of the Pope? Uh, oh, that's the picture we should have shown, the wounding of the beast. But later we're going to get back to that. Do you have a picture of the Pope meeting with many religious leaders of the world? Meeting with Buddhists, Muslims, Hindus. Do you have a picture of that? If you have, that's the feet of the statue of Daniel, where iron would be mixed with clay, but it will not mix together. It's easily broken, destroyed. It will be destroyed at the coming of Christ. But this union, what you see here, this is the union of the whole world. Later we're going to read the verses pertaining to that. So the union of this whole nation, different nations of the whole world, the spirit is also promoted by the papacy today. Being promoted by the United States, being promoted by the papacy, religious tolerance. Let's become one nation, one globe, one ecumenism. Oikomene means one world. So let's have peace with one another. So even Red China respects him, Russia respects him. So this is the illustration of Brother Jackson. Could you zoom that? Oh, this is the little horn. Next time maybe you can in advance zoom that. Okay, thank you. That's the little horn plucking out 3 other horns. This illustration comes from the contender. Maybe some of their members drew this. Brother Gan also copied this picture. So, okay, show what is written below. Little horn of Daniel 7:8, Revelation 13:1 and 2. The beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. Okay, now, so we shown how the beast was wounded in the religious aspect. Let's get back to the political. So you see that the papacy can pluck out the horns when he lose his power during the age of exploration. That's the time he was wounded religiously. Now let's focus on the political beast of Europe. Let's move on to Europe. Can you show pictures of World War II? The pictures of World War II. Did I ask you to show that? So that's not World War II. Okay, maybe you can Google it, okay? So in World War II, Europe was devastated. That's ISIS. Or, that's Vietnam War. Okay, so at least we can show some pictures about World War II. World War II devastated Europe. Hitler tried to unite the whole world. When Hitler tried to unite the whole world, wait, Europe first. That's why Europe also, when he conquers Europe, he can conquer the whole world. But the United States prevented him. But Europe was devastated because of him. After Europe was devastated, after World War II, who revived Europe? There is another beast that helped in the healing of Europe. And can you Google Marshall Plan? I didn't ask for this picture, but maybe you can Google it. The Marshall Plan is America sent billions of dollars of aid to Europe for its reconstruction. Can you show Europe, the devastated Europe? Don't have any picture of that. In the reconstruction of Europe, America played a great role in reviving Europe. But America was not just promoting Europe. America was promoting not just the image of the beast. This image is a political system. The beast is the original Europe, the spirit of the old kingdom, the old Roman Empire. the Holy Roman Empire, the religious side. But the image of the beast represents a political system that comes from Europe, but is no longer Europe. The democracy, the democratic form of government. When you say democracy, it involves economic, it involves religious, involves military, the four winds also. The democratic system coupled with the Romans' republican system. The republican system, is it the Marshall Plan you're showing or the devastated Europe? And the picture is too long. Taking too long. Anyway, it's all right to share screen another. Those are good pictures of devastated Europe. Okay. So maybe you can click one and move over. Move to the next one. So this is the Marshall Plan. Logo of the Marshall Plan. So maybe you can search before you share screen, Bereno. Okay, so this is devastated Europe. Because of the Marshall Plan, it restored Europe again. It restored Europe again to prominence, to power. Now Europe is a superpower. It's now called NATO. So Putin was afraid of NATO. It's even much more powerful than Russia. You can see that in the Ukraine war of Russia, that even if Ukraine was a smaller country, she beat back the Russians because of the weapons provided by NATO. Who is NATO? It's a alliance of all European nations and the United States, all Western countries. That's represented by NATO in its military alliance. That's the military. The economic side is the European Economic Community that later became European Union. That's the economic alliance. Now, previously I said that I believe that the beast only represented Europe, not America, not China, not the Middle East. But later, we're going to show the beast represents the whole world. And that's why there's some word image to the beast. The image to the beast. Let's, so this is the wound that was, deadly wound that was inflicted to Europe. Then she recovered. That's why Europe recovered. For your information, United States was used to restore Japan. She was also devastated. It was the billions of dollars of trade preferences to China. United States also made China strong because of trade. You see? United States was promoting something in the world that the Pope was promoting today. Universal harmony, hegemony, peace and safety. When they shall say peace and safety, sudden destruction shall come upon them. Even our brethren in the church that are lukewarm, they're being carried over by the spirit of the world. Economics, cultural. So the spirit of the world is something that is being promoted from the United States to the Vatican. There and the Europe. It came from Europe. This spirit of humanism, the spirit of liberalism. Of course, later we have some pictures of that. I hope you have. This world system, and this world system, if it is destroyed, if someone would endanger this, they are called terrorists. They will be branded as terrorists. That's why the two prophets will be branded as terrorists in going against this world system. Okay, I explained a lot. Let's go to the scriptures which pointed that out. Let's go to verse 4. So verse 3 is the wounding of the head. Now, in verse 4, they worship the dragon which gave power unto the beast. And they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? Now remember, the beast will change. The beast is no longer just Europe. It is not just the United States. The dragon possessed the United States, the lamb that came out of the earth. You're going to read that in the following verses. I'm just explaining it. Because here the dragon gave power to the beast, later to the image of the beast. So what is that power she is giving? This is Vox Populi, Vox Dei. This is the power of the people. This is what they call democracy. Well, democracy is not as bad as communism, which is authoritarianism. It is a much better alternative, but it comes short. Democracy comes short of God's image. Man comes short of the glory of God. The number 6, in the 6th day, man was created. It reaches only on the level of humanism, human rights. You see here, LGBTQ community. This is the image of the beast. But the first beast is the political system. Later, it will give birth to another image of the whole world. The worldly system of the world, the humanism, the depravity of the whole world. Hedonism. That's a much worse word. Vox Populi, Vox Dei, this democratic system, parliamentary system. The parliamentary system is a republican system. Republic means representing the public. So you vote representatives to office. That's where we call the Congress or the Parliament or the Senate. It represents the people, the government for the people, by the people. It influenced the whole world. China, whether it's your communist China or nationalist China, they carry this by Sun Yat-sen, the people. And there's nothing wrong with that, except that God is still the owner of the world. God has the final say. And the people can go against God. The whole world. If you follow the majority, the president is elected by majority. The parliament is elected by the majority. The prime minister is elected by the majority of the parliament. This representative of the people seems like we come out from the dark ages into what we call the modern era, the modern times. The modern system of government, they don't know the devil will ride onto it. We must treat our government not directly as Christians. This is the mistake. Mistake they see in the United States. The United States was founded by Masonry. But this Masonry, in trying to come out from religious, economic, authoritarian persecution, they gave freedom, the Bill of Rights, the United States Constitution. And she became an example for other countries to follow. Africa, Asia, Europe. Europe is the one that gave birth to that. That's why, how does it speak like a dragon? Eventually, she started out as a lamb, but eventually will speak as a dragon. Because her system of government excludes God. It follows human sentiment, follows what people believe. People, if they're convinced with the new age or what, convinced with immorality, or they don't call it immorality, call it liberalization. You see here? So the Pope met with different leaders of the world, but the political system met with different leaders of the world. They promised to make a new world of peace and safety. But the dragon is speaking through this. Why? The dragon is speaking through this world system because look at abortion. Even though the Catholic Church is against that, he could no longer influence the governments. Unknowingly, the Catholic Church promoted this spirit, even though she's against that. But the spirit of this democracy, Republican, and the spirit of following the sentiment of the people, humanism, hedonism, leads to hedonism. The decent people eventually becomes corrupt. Do you have any picture of concerts we have today? They're so corrupt. There's men wearing earrings in the nose, in the ears, in their belly. The world is gradually falling into the pit because they relegated God beside. It's not the law of God anymore. It's the law of man. Some law of men are godly, but gradually they're being changed. The United States is being changed. The United States government banned prayer from the schools and banned public schools from expressing their religious views. For the pretext or the excuse, like in the Dark Ages, the Catholic Church was authoritarian. We are non-religious. We are freedom of religion. So that's good. We have freedom. But in that freedom of religion, majority of the world wants to be hedonistic. That is what's influencing our young people in the church today. If the parents would be deceived by other ministers to say, you don't have to follow the strict training revelation of a person, then supposed person, then you've condemned your children to be influenced by the world like this, whatever version it is. So, okay, if there's someone who wish to ask question, you may
May I ask question?
Yes, yes.
Revelation 13 verse 15.
Okay, let's get ahead of ourselves. But we skipped a lot of verses. Okay, let's go to verse 15. Question in verse 15. Verse 15.
And he had
Hello.
and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should be both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
Okay.
I would like to ask about the spiritual aspect,
Application.
not only for the literal or physical.
Okay, let's share first the literal. The literal. So the literal, in the tribulation period, the whole world will go against the two prophets, then the followers of the prophets, the believers, two prophets. So if you don't worship the image of the beast, you're a terrorist. Why? You are against the world system. You will be accused as a terrorist. Because actually there are groups today that are doing that. Like example, this ISIS or what? They're leading the people to believe against these terrorists. They're genuine terrorists, but they will influence the whole world to be cautious of any religious system that comes out. So when the two prophets come out, they will be identified as terrorists. So if you don't believe the image of the beast, what is the image of this? There is a message by these two prophets that the world system is coming to an end. Similar to our message today. But the problem is we are not yet persecuted in the flesh, but we have persecution in the spirit. Okay, we're persecuted by other churches who are Nicolaitan, who they have discrimination in receiving this message. So some of the churches are similar to our message, but majority to persecute us because if we're progressive in this message, we could not. Let's say our progressive message is about the training of the family, how to open up the eyes completely, opening up the eyes more to the deception of the world system. And we are being persecuted for that. We experience separation. We experience coercion, we experience influences, we experience subtle craftiness, where they took away the attention of our brethren. In example, being brought to other ministers' meeting or seminars. There's nothing wrong with that, but the problem is if there's an ulterior motive to remove my influence, my teaching, not to be Berean anymore, that is a subtle persecution. That's the spiritual version of not going with the image of the beast. The spiritual image of the beast is within the churches. This is spiritual idolatry. We have psychological idolatry. What I was talking about a while ago is psychological idolatry, the worldly system. But the spiritual idolatry is within the churches. Somehow, I'll continue changing the pictures, okay? Somehow, these churches that are supposed to be supporters of this progressive message, they're the ones persecuted. They're the ones persecuting this message. They're making us ashamed of this progressive truth about training the family for fear of not offending them. So, it successfully, if you read in Daniel that the enemy successfully undermined, destroyed the power of the holy people. It happened to us literally, spiritually. When we had this revival in our church, then suddenly a secret conspiracy from the outside undermines our message. And today, the remnant, the survivors, they're still lukewarm. They're trained to be lukewarm. They're trained not to assert authority in their family. We have lost many young people to the world because of spiritual persecution before, but we didn't realize that, how it crept in. It happened in the world stage, in the political stage, worldly religious stage. It happened within the churches. Now, can it also happen in different churches? Yes, in minor versions, but it's more telling on our church if we preach the more progressive message. Let's say the training of the family. It also happened. There's also the image of the beast in a spiritual sense. So majority of the ministers were swayed from being honest Berean, being objective Berean. They stopped downloading, listening to my video. They started listening to others, Sacred Name or whatever, or other end time only. So this spirit is preventing the training of our indirectly preventing the training, because it's stealing the attention of the ministers and brethren to other traditional ministry. It should be strengthening it, but since it's stealing, there is a struggle within our flesh to implement the progressive truths of God. This is the struggle between the image of the beast, the mark of the beast. The image of the beast is the worldly system. The mark of the beast is this Nicolaitan system. And we are struggling with that within our churches. The more you go progressive, the more you will have that version struggling in your churches. So, the love of many will grow cold. What kind of love? Not physical love, not family love, but spiritual love. The love for God also gives you the kind of love that you should have for your family and your brethren. But that kind of love disappeared. The love that we are left is the physical love. Example, someone got an accident, we can help each other. Only on the physical plane. I'm not saying that's bad. That's good. But we should go beyond that. When you go beyond that, that's where we call a spiritual adoption. We have to adopt the fatherless. We're no longer adopting the fatherless because we've lost sight of what the true adoption is. The deeper adoption is. Our adoption is only on the flesh. So this is the struggle we have in our version before the tribulation, before the last week of Daniel. Here in this side of the church ages, this is what we are struggling with, and more so in the Laodicean church age. The, the religious element is being used by the dragon to undermine this progressive truth that we are carrying. So there are different versions of that in different churches all over the globe. The progressive truth, if you're Berean, the master key, the commonality is humility and going back to the scriptures and no discrimination. If you don't have any discrimination, there must be nothing that prevents you from listening to this message, comparing this message to the others, to yours, to others. But something is preventing that comparison. So that's the image of the beast. That's the mark of the beast in our version here, right now, here in the church ages. But the image of the beast, the mark of the beast, back then in the tribulation, after the rapture, so maybe you can show the tribulation period, Baraminan. That will be all different ball game in the end time. It will be worldwide, and it will still be. It also involves spiritual, but it also involves political and the world system. It will also involve your life, where if you will leave your life for that, you're going to give your life for that. Here, some people complain about discomfort, but during time in the Roman era, when Christians are killed, they're willing to give their lives, to be tortured, to be thrown into dungeons. But right now, our struggle, we're still complaining about our flesh being discomfort or disturbing their work or whatever their activities are. So that's our struggle here. It's a grace of God. We're not suffering as they would suffer or the past Christians suffered. Our struggle in the flesh, but still, it's the same battle. We have to struggle with the dragon. The dragon is still in our flesh. The struggles with we have lukewarmness, we have Nicolaitanism. Nicolaitanism because some have closed their minds from objectively proving this message, and some have become lukewarm because they're not as zealous as much in fulfilling God's progressive truth in their families, in our brethren. Okay, let's go back to reading of the scriptures. Our time might run out. What happened in the previous broadcast, although it's cut in 1 hour. In our previous broadcast of Revelation 13, I was not able to go expository. Let's go quickly with this, okay? Let's go back to the previous verse I stopped. So, but that's a good question. Is there a spiritual element? Actually, if that question would not be asked, I would not have thought of much in our spiritual church struggles here in the side of the church age. Okay, remember parallelism between the church ages, and please show the church ages and show the tribulation. There are parallel events that happen. Revelation 13 has many parallel events. Now here we are in verse 5. Power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. So that means to say, we are in the last, could be the first half or the last half of the tribulation period. So this is 3.5 years. This coincides with Daniel 12. 1,290 days, 1,335 days. It overshoots 75 days from 1,260 days that was mentioned in Revelation 11. So, these 40 and 2 months shows that I think this verse 5 would be more on the last half of the week, because that's the only time what Christ said, unless those days shall be shortened. Brother Ferdinand, please show the tribulation. So, side by side with the church ages to show the parallelism. Okay? So, show the tribulation. because we're emphasizing a parallelism event. So the Seventh-day Adventist and the Jehovah's Witnesses is not wrong. They are not wrong in explaining all these chapters in Revelation in the church ages. Their application is only in the church ages. But they don't have any application of the last week of Daniel. So Bermanan, you're taking too long, okay? So maybe David can help out. If David could help out, you can close screen share for the moment. So we are reading from verse 5. Let's read verse 6. He opened his mouth in blasphemy against God to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. How does this blasphemy happen? This blasphemy happens from the pictures we shown a while ago. There's a spirit from being Nicolaitan in the church. That's already blasphemy. That's the highest form of blasphemy because many people will not notice that. Nicolaitanism within the church is blasphemy. Lukewarmness is also blasphemy. Now, when we become lukewarm, what happens to our children? Eventually, they're carried by the world. They have relationships and fornications. That's a smaller version of blasphemy. But this way of the world will go much further. There's what we call this LGBTQ community. Oh, you're sharing the same thing. Maybe one of you, please close. Maybe the one with the cell phone, please close the screen sharing. So, maybe if you're just using the cell phone, please close your screen sharing. Close your screen sharing. So it will be just one picture. So if you can show pictures of LGBTQ community, the world system, those going to pubs, concerts, worldly music. Remember, these are foods offered to idols and our children are eating them. This is how, when it says they're blasphemies, we don't realize the things that our children are enjoying. If we are mature beren, you can be excused in watching them, listening to them, because you can control yourself. You can see, you can discern what is right and wrong. But our young people are innocent, they're deceived. Their heart are given over to them. So, the worldly system, I hope you can share picture and from LGBTQ, what comes next is abortion. What comes next is many other depravity, deviance. Okay? So, this is blasphemy. Do you have a picture of the one dancing like Jesus Christ? What do they call that? A guy dressing like a woman with makeup. What do they call that? Drag queens. Drag queens. This spirit, this advocacy of more freedom, this brought along. That's why, who is that person in the Philippines? Pura. I think his name is Pura, right? That is blasphemy. But how could he do that? In Muslim countries, he could not do that. He will be arrested. How could he do that in our democratic society? Because our democratic society guarantees that freedom. That's why they can be Satan worshippers, because it's freedom. They don't believe in the devil anymore. They don't believe in God anymore. They only believe in science and technology. That way they're waiting for the coming of the aliens. So this spirit you have in the world, this is the image of the beast. This is speaking like a dragon. This is blasphemy. Okay? We have less than 30 minutes to go. I have to be quick on this. I am in verse 6. Let's go to the verse 7. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints. Remember Daniel 12. The enemy made war with the saints. Now, how do you make war with the saints here in verse 7? In the side of the tribulation period is the 2 prophets and the 144,000. And those that believe with it, the foolish that repented to become wise. They are the saints that will be killed, martyred in the tribulation. Now, as the question of Brother Magellan is similar in verse 15 and here, we also have war in our flesh. So the war in the flesh, we have parallel wars to fight on. But this is before the tribulation. But speaking of the tribulation, the war with the saints are starting from the two prophets and the 144,000. And they would be overcome because that's the last half of the last week of Daniel. That's the 42 months. Okay? That's a small picture. You should have zoomed that or maybe change to another picture. So the war with the saints, the persecution. Our time is running out. So please show a picture of those being imprisoned. If you're prepared for that, Barminan. So pictures of people being, maybe you can even show pictures of the past when it happened, the church ages, the Smyrna, the Romans or the Inquisition, they were imprisoned. But if you have illustration of the imprisonment or the apprehension of many believers, so it's no longer the two witnesses, the other believers that will be apprehended. Okay, and maximize that. So that's the New World Order. If you speak against the image of the beast, you're speaking against the world system. Okay, he that leadeth unto captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth in the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience of the saints. Patience because you will be persecuted. I beheld another beast. So let's go through this gradually. I beheld another beast coming out of the earth. So a while ago, I explained, please show the map. So the old world is where the first beast came out. It's called the sea. That's the new world. You see that, United States of America? Please maximize that. The old world represents the first beast. I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. Now, how do you know the earth is another continent like the new world? Because the sea represented the old world. The sea is the Mediterranean Sea, the old world. The Mediterranean world, the old world. The earth, now, in contrast to the sea, is the new world. The new world is the continent of America. You don't have any illustration of the continent of America? It's just a water buffalo, your only image. Okay. Just remain that unless you have other map that shows the continent of America. America is not just the United States. America includes Canada, includes South America. Okay, Mexico and others. Mexico is even included into North America. South America are the Latin countries. Now they're majority Catholics, but they're the remnant of the Spanish colonialism. So they speak Spanish more than English. But United States became a superpower. The beast coming out of the earth is this beast. It had two horns like a lamb's, what you're seeing here, and he spake as a dragon. Why is it mentioned as a lamb? Because there was a time the United States was used by God to move to share the gospel, even though it's a Masonic government. Some Christians were deluded to think their government is Christian. Gradually, the government is now becoming pseudo-Christian. It's in Christian in name only. But the true spirit of a Christian is no longer in the government. The government is speaking like a dragon. And it's speaking for the whole world. It's giving power, giving life to the image of the beast. Let's go to the image of the beast. The image, so verse 7 is the making war, the persecution of the saints, the tribulation. We have our parallel application here in this side of the church ages. And all that dwell, he spake blasphemy. Verse 8, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If you have pictures about the Logos, I'm going to take a little detour about the Godhead. Now, those names whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world, means the people of the world who will believe the beast, his image, the dragon, the worldly system, their names was not written in the book of life of the Lamb. This is all to another entirely new topic that we can digress in. Christ was crucified before the foundation of the world in the mind of God, the form of the Logos. That means to say everything happened already, and God foresaw everything that will take place. God foresaw if your names would be written in the Lamb's Book of Life or not. So let's not take too much time on this. About Logos, the Godhead, and pre-existence of Christ. So there's another topic for that. You can search for those topics in Cogeo ENDTIME series. Now let's move on to verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. Remember, these words were echoed during the church ages, seven churches in Asia. He that leaveth into captivity, he that killed with a sword must be killed with a sword. Here's the patience of faith of the saints. Now remember, when you read this verse 10, when you are led to captivity, that means you are apprehended, you're imprisoned. That's what I was asking for your picture. If you have pictures of people being apprehended because of their faith, not just in the church ages, but in the tribulation period. Remember the sheep visiting the brethren of Christ in prison? If you did it to one of my brethren, you did this unto me. So, leading to captivity here in the context of being apprehended and killed. We're martyred all day long. This is similar to the fifth seal. How long, O faithful and true, wilt thou not judge? And there was an answer in the fifth seal. Wait until the death of your fellow brethren. That's why it said the patience of faith of the saints. Killed with a sword must be killed. Those that kill with a sword must be killed with a sword. One day God will come back down through Christ and vent his wrath or vengeance against the whole world. Vengeance against persecuting his people. They that kill with a sword must also be killed by the sword. They that kill must be killed with the sword. So one day, these nations will. This is World War III. Do you have any illustration of that? If you look at my previous live broadcast, I have a picture of that Armageddon, World War III. So one day, World War III will come, and they will be killed by their own sword. And the Lamb will also come and kill them. Of course, those that are not killed will be killed. But they will not completely kill each other, because God will interrupt the time. Unless those days shall be shortened, no flesh shall be saved. Okay, so we are in verse 10. Let's go to verse 11. I beheld another beast coming out of the earth. This is what I explained a while ago, the United States. This is another beast. This is not a European beast. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him. Now, what happened? There was a time that Europe was the superpower. United States was just a backward country. Okay? It was just an wilderness, an outback. But later, the United States became a superpower nation. It surpassed the superpower of the Europe, and Europe was devastated. It was wounded. So, that's why it says he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast. Now, how does he make it worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed? The system of government, democracy, republicanism, the system of religion, Catholicism. But Catholicism was now being diluted into this ecumenical system. It's no longer just pure Catholicism. It's no longer like the Dark Ages Catholics, wherein she forced everyone to believe as she is. Today's Catholics will no longer force everyone to their belief system. You can be in your own religion, believing your own way. So the Seventh-day persecutions of the Sabbath, persecution because of the Godhead by other end time churches, persecution because of, like in the Dark Ages, Inquisition by the Baptist. So good luck looking for that. The persecution, it will be because of the two prophets. That's where the mark of the beast will be based upon. The mark of the beast here in the side of the church ages is different from the mark of the beast in the tribulation. But the common ground they have, the master key they have is Nicolaitanism. Nicolaitanism is the side of the church age right now here in Laodicea will not bring you to prison, or will not be is opposite of being Berean. But being Berean during the church ages will end you up in prison, make you end up in prison. Not just prison and persecution. Eventually, you'll be martyred. Okay, that's World War III. Unless those days shall be shortened, no flesh shall be saved. So it will be Christ who will destroy them. Let's read verse 12. So he exercises all the power. He doeth great wonders. Oh, this is what we're reading here. So that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. Now some Protestants explain this like some spiritual leader showing powers of fire like Elijah. But since the whole world does not believe in God anymore or the devil, what they believe in are technologies. What you're seeing in the picture is the actual application during the tribulation period. He makes fire to come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. These are weapons of warfare. You see a while ago there is the nuclear blast. That is fire from the sun. In the trumpet judgments in chapter 8, there was a mountain with fire falling to the sea. But part of it is also the nuclear ordinances. You see this fire of nuclear warfare and missiles, everything blows up in fire. Napalm, explosives. This is the fulfillment of verse 39. Who has that superpower strength? First, it's the United States, the first beast before him. Sorry. The beast from the earth. The United States became a superpower, but he exercises the power to give life to the image of the beast. He is strengthening up, United States is strengthening up Europe, and not just Europe, the whole world eventually will become that beast. Let's read verse 14. He deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. The first beast then was Europe. Eventually, the first beast will no longer be Europe. It will be 10 geopolitical nations of the world. So the whole world will wonder. Okay, saying to that they should make an image to the beast. What is this image? The one that I was mentioning a while ago. The image to the beast is this world system. By the way, thank you for showing that picture. You see that image? Could you show the head? Could you go up and show the head? Maybe zoom. Okay. That statue you see there is built by Nebuchadnezzar of Daniel for the whole world to worship. Please show the bottom part, the whole people under Babylonian domain of Nebuchadnezzar to bow down. Please show the bottom part. Yeah, that's all. You see people bowing down. They are a type of what is being written here, the image of the beast. As the whole nation of Babylon is forced to worship the image of Daniel. Daniel was a believer. There is an image of Christianity today. They use the name of Christ, but in the name of freedom, to do what you want to do. That's remember whisper to our brethren, do what you want to do. Do not follow the man's teaching. So you are free to do what you want to do, and God wants it. Okay, that is a deception. Do what you want to do. You don't need to follow anyone's advice what your life should be lived. You immediately close out, and this is hedonism in the modern age. So worshiping Daniel was a follower of God, but he was made into an image by Nebuchadnezzar for people to follow. So in the guise of Christianity, in the guise even of the end time message, we are in the end time message. That is a false teacher. Don't compare it anymore. Just follow your heart. If you're a parent, you can do what you want. Whatever you decide, God will side with you. Okay? So a while ago, I mentioned about the aliens. You didn't show that. Okay. So now let's read. He gave power to the image of the beast, should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Now, how does it, what does it mean if you do not, like in the time of Nebuchadnezzar, if you don't worship the image of the beast, you will be killed. Now, back here in the tribulation period, so if you are a believer of the two prophets, you would be branded as antisocial. You'll be branded as terrorists because you do not think the way the world thinks. If we are a true, if we have full revelation in our church, our eyes will be opened that our children are being corrupted in their free time. And parents should take over their free time. But they're not doing that. They only slave their children just to go to school, earn money, go to work, earn money. That's as far as they're concerned with. But we should be concerned that our children are being corrupted in our children are being corrupted by the world. But that is in the side of the church age. But in that side of the tribulation period, you are antisocial. You don't worship the image of the beast because you don't agree. You don't believe the world system. What is the world system? This freedom, this LGBTQ, this many other things. If you go out and preach to those going to spa, going to vacations, going to worldly enjoyments, you will be hated by all men right now. But in the tribulation period, if you just say a little word that those two prophets' message is true, then you don't worship the image of the beast. The image of the beast is this worldly system. It's similar to the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is also the perspective to the two prophets. So the image of the beast here in the side of the church age is worldly system. The mark of the beast is Nicolaitanism. So the image of the beast is lukewarmness. Nicolaitanism is the mark of the beast. Now, going back to the tribulation period, the image of the beast and the mark of the beast will converge into the perspective of who the two prophets are. If you believe the two prophets are of God, then it is the description, you do not worship the image of the beast and you should be killed. So that he causeth all both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond to receive on their right hand on their foreheads. What is that mark? That mark that I just mentioned to you, by or save how buy and sell without that mark? Is it because maximize the microchip, use scanner in the forehead? That's how many people interpret that. But let me tell you what the mark is. The mark is how you perceive the true prophets. And you will be apprehended not because you didn't have the number. You will be apprehended speak out. You speak out the message of the two prophets. You see, in our local church, you can ask, how do you know you have the mark? Because you don't want to share. You don't want to be progressive. You don't want to share the progressive message. Then you have the mark. You want partial truth, then you have the mark. They want to be Christians, but don't progressive truth. That's the mark. It's not a microchip. It's not a tattoo. It is a belief system. The list of the world. If you don't worship the image of the beast, you don't worship the beast, you don't receive the mark in his hand, then you will be put to death. You will be apprehended. And how will you be put to death? How you will be apprehended? You will speak the word. So do not speak the word, share progressive truth. They are beast. That's very pointed here. Because some churches, they want their brethren to keep silent and listen and listen. But all brethren should share the word. That's how you remove your mark. Christians left in the tribulation will speak out in the prophet. Then they have mark of the beast. And they apprehend. You cannot buy or sell because you allow yourself to be apprehended. You didn't have the number. You were apprehended because you speak. That's how you become a Christian. Romans 10. If you confess in your heart that Jesus Christ is Lord, you shall be saved. So, speaking the word important. That is how you remove the mark. And when test brethren in the church right now, do you want to remove your mark of the beast? Do you know you have the mark of the beast if you do not want to talk about, share about, ask about the truths of God here in the end times? Of course, we are in the end time. In any another age, if you refuse to be following the present truth, you have the mark. Okay, we have a few minutes left. Let's go to some pictures of the number of the beast. We are in verse 18. Here is wisdom. Barmenan, please show pictures of Brother Gan's number of the beast, the computation. There are many of them. That's just not just one. Okay, we have Latinus Rex Sacerdos. We need the word, the whole word, okay? Bargan has a good illustration. Anyway, because it's not just one word. It's not just vicarious Filidae. It is also Latinus Res Sacerdos. The word Romiith, you see that Romiith? That means, that also counts to 666. How about Latin man? Did you have a Latin man? Okay. Now there are many combinations that add up to 666. And this is what we can say, Latinos, Latin man, okay? So, now what does it mean? Now, I don't discount that the papacy could be attributed to that 666. This is the title of the Pope, Vicarius Filidae, the Vicar of Christ. But it's not just the Pope. This is a new revelation. A few minutes to go. The new revelation is the papacy is not just the Antichrist. So we're not going to talk about a singular person, although it says this is the number of a man. Now the man here, there is a literal, but we're not talking about that. Literal singular person. But there's the man that represents humanity. The man that represents humanity, this is also the Latin Roman. This is the earthly man. This is the image of the beast. This is humanism. Our desire to follow our own way versus God's way. This is the mark of the beast. This is the number of the beast, sorry. The mark of the beast in the image of the beast has a number. and this is the number of a man. Okay, I hope we're running out of time. I hope you can research this for yourselves. But our focus today in Revelation 13 is this world system. Then in Revelation 18, when Babylon is fallen, it will be the world system, not just one singular country, one singular city. Please give us a closing prayer so we can catch up with our end song.